Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode. I want to talk today about the letter N, and N stands for networking in our ABCs of career development. And hopefully, you don't cringe and stop this episode just from hearing that word alone. I know so many people do that. It's definitely a cringeworthy word and can be big, hairy, and scary, especially if you are an introvert, and even more so if you're an introvert who has shy tendencies. But I want to let you know that being able to network and build relationships and connect with others can be amazing for the opportunities that can be put in front of you or the opportunities that are available in your future by doing that. And I also want to say that if you are somebody who is in school right now, a student, and you're thinking, oh, I don't have to do that until I get ready to graduate or until I graduate, that is false. You absolutely should start as soon as possible to network and build relationships and build out that network. LinkedIn is an amazing tool to build out that network and to stay in touch with individuals and meet other people. It's just one path to, or one method to be able to connect with other people. It's a great place that is kind of a repository for your network. So as you meet people at other places, other events, whether virtual or in person, I highly recommend that you connect with them on LinkedIn so that you can make sure that they're in your, this might be old school, Rolodex, your address book, that kind of thing, and your connections on LinkedIn. So networking, why are we so afraid of it? So there are people who are extroverts and who love meeting other people. Took a drink there, sorry. And love the opportunity to talk with others, and they get their energy from that. There are others like myself who are introverted, and sometimes they just need that space to refuel. So I am not somebody who is building my network. I would say in ways I do it on a daily basis, but not outright that you may be able to see it. It might be silently building my network through social media posts or emails or things like that, versus having to be in front of people either virtually or in person. And so you have to figure out what is the right dose of networking for you, what makes the most sense for you, and what is the best for your energy levels and for your for the bandwidth that you can take on. And I don't mean time-wise for all of the other things that you have going on, so much as energy levels and what you can handle. But I would challenge you to stretch yourself. So if you don't think that you can put yourself out there, I challenge you to try to do it at least once a month. Do something a little bit different, or reach out to somebody that you wouldn't normally do, maybe a little bit uncomfortable. The worst somebody could do is A, not respond, or B, say, no, I don't have time, or I can't do this. The best that can happen is they can connect with you and give you insight into who they are, what they do, maybe their industry, maybe a topic that you're interested in, and that you add that person to your network and continue to build that connection and learn from them, and they learn from you as well. So what are some ways that you can network? So one I already mentioned was LinkedIn. So you can do a search on LinkedIn, and they have a pretty robust search. You can use Boolean operators, so you can use and or not. Put keywords in there. If you have more than 2 keywords together, I would suggest using the quotes to put around it, so that it keeps those and searches for those. So you could search posts to look for keywords. You can look for people who align with that, whether that's keywords that are in their profile or it's a specific role, their job title. You can search that way, and then you can filter down your search as to who is already a first connection, who may be a second connection, which is somebody who's connected to somebody you're directly connected with, or who's a third connection. And then be able to reach out and connect with them. A lot of times you're only going to see the follow button on somebody's profile. You can absolutely follow them, and you'll get whatever they post will show up in your newsfeed on LinkedIn. But I highly recommend that you connect with them. And the way that you do that is, if you only see the follow button, there should be 3 dots, or it may say more, and you click on that and it gives you the option to connect. And I'd recommend that you connect and you add a note when you go to connect. And that just really customizes, personalizes the connection request. And you can say maybe how you met them, or how you found them, or maybe you read a post that they did and it appealed to you, and you might just put a couple, a sentence as to why. There's not a lot of characters, but there's enough in that note that you can add. And think about that. If somebody reached out to connect with you, and didn't leave a note, you probably would be left wondering, like, how did they find me, or why would they want to connect with me, or, just start to have all those questions fill your mind. And think of if somebody reached out to connect with you and they added a note and made a comment like, hey, I heard you talk at this and it was really interesting, would love to connect. Or, hey, I saw a post on your profile, or I saw something in your profile and that aligned with what I'm interested in, would love to connect, something like that. And how pleasing to your heart that could be to get that kind of note. It's almost like if you get mail, instead of getting all these bills and junk and all this stuff that, everybody might get, getting a personalized card from somebody, just like a thank you card or a birthday card or something like that. That's what I think of when I think of like adding a note to those connection requests. So consider doing that when you find individuals. And don't be afraid. I have reached out to connect with famous authors in the leadership change management space, and they have agreed. They've connected with me, and they may not put a note back, which is perfectly fine, but it's been great because then I can have them in my newsfeed, and in the future, potentially reach out, whether they would be able and willing to chat more then, it depends. But being able to connect with them, and that's been great. You can also connect, you can look at different universities and on LinkedIn and find, typically they have, under the university, you can find an alumni, and you can find people who have put that university as their alumni, and you can even go down to filter and sort by people who are in certain degrees, certain job titles, certain industries, certain companies, all of those types of things that are alumni for the university, and be able to connect with them that way. The other thing that I have found through dissertation research years ago was that there are a lot of organizations that have alumni groups for their organization on LinkedIn. So a company like AT&T, they have an alumni group, and there's several others that have that as well. So people who have been with the company in the past may join that alumni group, whether they had left the company or they were laid off or whatever that might look like. So you may want to check that out as well for maybe a company that you have worked for to see if they have that. So lots of opportunities through LinkedIn to connect, but that is absolutely not the only way. That is one avenue to make connections, and it makes it easier too because it's all virtual. What I would recommend is that when you reach out and connect with people, consider maybe asking to do a coffee chat or an informational interview to learn more about them and what they do. You want to make sure that you're authentic in whoever you're reaching out, and that you're not just reaching out to like dozens of people, asking for this, trying to get a few back. You definitely want to be mindful of people's time, and thinking of being strategic about how and who you want to connect with. So LinkedIn is one option. Take a drink here. So other options are in person. So in person, you can look at what industry associations are related to the field that you're in or that you're interested in. Human resources is one example. There is the Society for Human Resource Management, SHRM. So you could go to shrm.org and find more out about that group and join that group and get more information and find different options to connect. A lot of groups like this have local chapters as well. So another group for learning and development professionals is the Association for Talent Development, and they have a national chapter and a national conference and events related to different things within learning and development at a national level across the country. And they also have local chapters. So in Columbus, Ohio, they have the Columbus, Ohio Association for Talent Development chapter. And they also host an annual, it's a Technologies and Learning Design Day. So that's annual. And then they also have special interest groups. So they meet, I believe it's quarterly. So they have one organizational development. They have technology. Diversity and inclusion. So they have several different employee or special interest groups so you can join, and I believe most of those are still virtual. And so you can join those once a quarter and be a part of that if you're part of the chapter. So think about what's the industry or the area of specialty that you're in, and looking to see what kind of association or groups memberships are available for that, and what kind of events that they have. There's also so many different coaches out there that hold different events, or different organizations may host speakers that you can go and attend. I know people have looked at, I think it's Meetup, to see what different things are going on. There's another one that's escaping me, that you can find out different events that are happening just around town, local to you, that you can attend that are related to the topic of your interest. So getting out and attending those kinds of events. A lot of times universities will host things that alumni are invited to as well. So check with, if you had graduated from a university, what they may have available for alumni. And also organizations typically have for employees what different topics or speakers they may have come in, or they may have events outside of the workplace that people can attend. So there's all kinds of opportunities, and some of these different groups also do like speed networking. So think of like a speed dating, but for networking with others. And although that may feel intimidating, especially again, if you're one of those people with shy tendencies to go and put yourself out there, one of the things that you can think about is, can you grab a friend and see if a friend will go with you? And maybe that'll make it a little bit more comfortable and easy to get yourself in there and explore that a little bit more and get to meet more people. Another way, in addition to those options, is leveraging social media. So in addition to LinkedIn, thinking about what is out on maybe Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, and following people, engaging in the posts. That helps you to build your connections as well. Referring or sharing people or topics with others, that is really helpful too to building your connections. The other thing is, so for the longest time years ago, I was really, really active on Twitter, which is now X. And I was able to find quite a bit. I think it was a hashtag. It was about, I'm trying to think of the term. I think it was more hashtag leadership, related to leadership, and possibly maybe management, but probably more leadership. And find different Twitter chats. They would have, I believe it was like once a week for some of those, where they would get on and they would ask a series of questions, and they would have them numbered. So number one, they would ask a question, and then the group of people participating in that tweet chat would reply, or they would post, number one, and they would put their answer, and then they would all use the same hashtag being in that tweet chat. And there's certain different apps that you can pull. I think TweetDeck was one. I don't know if that's still around. That you could follow like a specific hashtag and have that only in your screen, so you could follow that kind of tweet chat a little bit easier, or you could go back later on and look at that. But leveraging hashtags, especially in Twitter, they're used somewhat in LinkedIn, not so much on Facebook, definitely on Instagram and TikTok. I believe TikTok's a little bit not so much on there now. But Twitter was a great space to find people who were interested in talking about different topics and connecting and building those relationships. And a lot of those individuals that I met through those tweet chats on Twitter, I was able to then also connect on LinkedIn and continue to follow them and see what they were posting, and follow them on Twitter and see when they made posts, and be able to share or respond and things like that. So those are great ways to nourish and nurture those relationships. So those are a few ways that you can get out there and you can network, and hopefully it doesn't feel like it's that cringy after this episode. Would love to hear from you. Jump into the Career Development Club on Facebook or LinkedIn. We post the same information across both platforms, and would love for you to share, how do you network, and what are some spaces that you appreciate and have been able to connect with several others in your specific field. Would love for you to share that with others, and hope to see you in the group, and I'll catch you on the next episode.